Testing 1, 2.
All right, half a day, everybody. Good afternoon. We're a little behind schedule. I had a few technical difficulties here and there, but we'll go ahead and get started. This is a regular meeting of the Guam Ethics Commission called to order today, Friday, April 26th at 12:51 p.m. in the afternoon. Before we do get into the agenda item, just a quick housekeeping for one of our commissioners who's attending over the phone. I'll hand it over to the director, who has a few words on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, for the record, we're citing 5 GCA subsection 43121. It states the use of video teleconference at meetings. So board and commission members may participate in regular and special meetings via video teleconferencing. The board or commission member shall submit a written request to participate in the regular and special meetings via video teleconferencing to the chairperson, and such request shall be attached to the minutes of said meeting. So in accordance with the cited subsection of law, we did receive a request sent to the chair and is on file, which will attach to the minutes. This is for Dr. Robert Jack to participate via teleconference. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director. Again, with that, we'll move right into our agenda. Item number 1, subsection 2, roll call of the members.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll start with the Chairman Christopher Cruz,
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Margaret Tekenko. Commissioner Marilyn Borja is on her way, but she'll be present momentarily. Commissioner Dr. Robert Jack. Commissioner, yes, thank you, Dr. Jack. Commissioner Daphne Leon Guerrero. And Commissioner Shannon Murphy.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, with 5 members present, we do have a quorum.
Excellent. Moving on, could we get the commissioners a few minutes or so to review the minutes from our January 26th regular meeting? And once that's completed, if I can get a motion to adopt our minutes from that meeting. Commissioners, do we need more time reviewing the minutes? Can I get a motion to adopt our January 26th meeting minutes?
Make a motion to adopt the January 26th.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. We've adopted our January 26th, 24 regular meeting minutes. On to item number 3 for our executive director's report. Director King.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for giving me a moment to take a drink because we have a lot to update the commission on. I'd like to begin this report by sharing some excellent news. The commission staff had obtained their ethics professional certification. I believe it'll include our ethics investigator compliance officers, Ruben Bagarin, Pamela Mabaza, as well as myself, have successfully obtained the certification as a leadership professional in ethics compliance, which is offered by the Ethics and Compliance Initiative. So this is a global organization and one of the certifications that attest to the skills and capabilities for ethics investigators across the globe to respond to compliance issues. So we're really excited. I believe we're the first in this part of the Pacific to undergo the program and to successfully complete it. I wanted to commend the team for getting that done.
Yeah, congratulations to the three of you guys. Congrats. I saw the designations there on our yeah. On
Yeah.
our agenda. So yeah, congrats.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
It was excellent. So I believe for 3 months we had gone through training material and worked with each other to refresh and capture, the essence of the compliance program, which will be tested on. And then they did their testing, and they can attest to the level of stress to take the test. There's a time zone difference, and we opted for the self-paced version so that we didn't have to wake up at 3 in the morning to do an exam. But it went well. Ruben was the first to complete and was the first to get scheduled, followed by me, and then Pam successfully passed her course, rounding it up in March for all of us to reach 100%. So we're really happy for that. And the Ethics and Compliance Initiative is really interested in Guam, to hear about Guam and to see that we've joined now. I believe they have 3,000 ethics professionals across the globe that have that designation. I'll move on to the next item, confirmation of commissioner reappointments. So following the confirmation hearings conducted for the reappointments of Commissioner Meg Tykenko and Daphne Leon Guerrero, we were very pleased and excited to report that the legislative session agenda in February included their appointments for consent, and they both received unanimous consent and will continue to serve through their second term, which is a period of 4 years from 2023 to 2027. So thank you both for your willingness to serve and for the consent by the legislature. We met with the Office of Finance and Budget of the Guam Legislature. So I want to thank Commission Chair Christopher Cruz, who joined me in meeting with Office of Senator Joseph Augustin, as well as the officials of the Office of Finance and Budget. It was at that meeting, they asked about the commission's full request and what that reflected, which I believe we articulated well. Senator Sinagason's staff did mention that the senator was interested in funding that final vacant investigator position, and that they would consider working with the Office of Finance and Budget to seeing the commission's requests include a level above to capture the full cost of the salary and benefits of that vacant position. We were the first agency that they've met with, so still a long way for them to meet and evaluate, but I do hear that the revenue numbers look positive and that the request is favorable. So we'll continue to share with the legislative body and the public the work of the commission in order to articulate the needs and where those resources are being applied to. With that being said, I did want to ask the commission in anticipation for receiving that funding level. I'd like to start a search and create a list of eligibles. So in the government, when you want to hire a position, especially if the position's in the merit system, you would announce the position for 3 weeks, and then that list, a list would be generated of those persons who have been rated qualified, and that list is valid for a period of 1 year. So I'd like to start the process just to get the list. So in the event the commission entertains a request in the future to hire, then that list of eligibles would already be on record that we could pull and begin that process once the commission's ready. So if I could get an endorsement to begin that process. Okay,
I don't have a problem with that.
thank you, commissioners.
Any further discussion, commissioners on it?
Okay, and we'll continue to update the commission as to the progress of the budget deliberations and provide you with those relative updates as they arrive. With regards to the 2024 Public Official Disclosure Act, thank you for your conflict of interest statements. I'd like to thank each of you for your cooperation in completing your forms. We were able to file them with the Guam Election Commission by the deadline, so no one's going to jail, or that the Ethics Commission would have to discipline its members for non-compliance. But thank you so much. You were removed from the list. Uh, the next item I'd like to discuss is the migration from our legacy AS400 financial system to the new financial management information system. Now, this was rolled out in January 24, and our team has attended all required trainings and workshops in order to familiarize ourselves with those systems and how these functions of budgeting and processing of payroll and personal actions is to move through. Now, despite those trainings, there are, as expected, issues that arise. And right now, I think I can quantify that by uh, maybe 10 or so capabilities that we once had that we no longer have. And we're sharing those concerns with the developer, and they're continuing to build those models. As an example, we used to be able to see an updated record of our budget and what amounts have been encumbered to see remaining balances. Today, we don't have access to such a screen. We only see whatever's our balance as of January 26th was our last time we were able to get the budget. We have a workaround, which is we bug an accountant to give us a summary of transactions, and then we have to manually reduce those amounts from object categories that we can pull from our records. So it's a little tedious, and it requires this assistance from another staff member where we once weren't required to. So we're working with them. Payroll just finally got its kinks. I can share it had its challenges. Some employees in the government, including myself, got paid twice. And then it was returned, obviously. But I think that they're working out through those issues, and there is a hearing at the legislature to discuss that in detail. We're accounting for all of our challenges, and we're reporting that to the lead developers and the points of contact at DOA. But we hope to resolve that relatively soon. So to get down further in the report, you're going to see that the budget report has not updated, and that's just to give you background as to why those numbers aren't reflected yet. The next item is on, yes.
Director, real quick, and not to spend too much time on that, we understand, at least I understand that there are gonna be challenges anytime you migrate systems. Have you reached out to other agencies and maybe have expressed kind of the challenges and then pick their brains, for example, over how they are managing like the budget, for example, and how that works?
I want to say that the utilization of the new financial management information system is largely enterprise-wide. So entities that use the Department of Administration, Treasurer of Guam for their accounting, like Department of Public Health, the Governor's Office, even Office of Public Accountability and Guam Election Commission, they all are experiencing similar issues. Only entities that are outside of that system, and they're primarily your autonomous agencies like Guam Power Authority, Guam Water Works, the University of Guam, they aren't experiencing those challenges because they have their own that they've paid for and built for their function. So I think for the size of our entity, we've been utilizing the Department of Administration to manage those accounts. And it's not unique to us. Everyone that is using Department of Administration and Treasurer of Guam is having the same challenges as we are, and we're all contributing to service tickets to please work on this, or we have these issues. And the developer's really good at responding quickly to those concerns or adjusting the software so that we can correct the misreport, things like that. But I hope that answers your question, Mr. Chair. There are others in the same position, and we're working on it together.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further questions regarding the new FMIS, I'll talk about the COGO Annual Conference and Program Committee meeting. So the 2024 COGO Annual Conference is scheduled for December 8th through the 11th, and commissioners are encouraged to inform us of your interest to participate because registrations will open later next month. So we'd like to take advantage of the early bird And if those dates work well with your calendars, please advise me so that I can secure that. Now, this is what I've been holding off for. In March, Kristen Izumi Natal, she's our counterpart in Hawaii. She's the state Hawaii ethics, oh, not ethics rather, but I think it's the Financial Disclosures Commission Director. But she serves a dual role as the COGO Program Committee Chairperson. She was elected this last membership meeting and had reached out to the office asking if we had any recommendations for workshops for this year's conference. And I offered two. The first, and it's in your paper, is a focus on balancing budgets and boundaries, a dive in how independent ethics commissions ensure they receive adequate resources while maintaining boundaries with policymakers. And then the second suggestion had a suggested title of Building Trust from Scratch, which focuses on challenges and opportunities with establishing new ethics commissions in the government. And they took it. It was submitted in March, and just last week I got a call from Kristen, and she told me that they didn't just accept one, but both were approved to be featured this year. And I was asked to be a presenter for the conference for those two workshops that are going to be on Monday and Tuesday. So I'm a little stressed out, but I'm excited for us. I'm excited that we get to share our story of what we've gone through from the beginning. I believe they're focusing on making this a panel, so we'll be joined with others across districts who have similar stories to share. But I think the fact that we're only in our second year in this, North American organization, and to be able to present and see similarities with other jurisdictions, I'm quite proud that we were able to secure that. So I wanted to let you know first. Actually, the team knew first because I was really excited, and they wanted to blab to the chair. And I said, don't tell him until the meeting. But yes, I'm really excited for that. So I hope that the dates work out for everyone. And if you are able to, it is in Los Angeles, so it won't be quite a long journey. I hope that you can confirm, or as cold. They say downtown, down LA Live, I think was the area they're calling it. And then I believe in a couple of weeks, I'll be able to secure the actual hotel that they're going to be staying at, and I'll pass that along. So please let me know so I know how many rooms you'd like to reserve.
Yeah, that's great news. That's good stuff. I think it might be obviously the first for us, right? We've only
It is.
attended the last few years, and then all of a sudden you have now two workshops that you're gonna be sitting in front of. So yeah, good stuff. I know the four of us have met Kristen, and a lot of the Hawaii delegation. So Mayor and Dr. Jack, hoping you guys have time for this conference this year. Looks like it's gonna be a good one.
Yes, and I'm really excited to see the commission represented this strongly with this year's conference. Okay. So the budget report is status quo. I do have more details that we'll present later in the fiscal realignment under new business. So I won't go into too much detail here. There hasn't been much adjustments. We probably produced 3 requisitions since the last meeting, and that was primarily to do website contract. We did our software for the Macs. We needed Word and the PDF, and then the last one was a Zoom license, so we can keep that activity going. The next update is our participation figures for both our live and online training. So in January, we had 138 attend live, with our online at 258, bringing our total to 396. February, there was no in-person workshop. We just did online. That was our number at 164. We picked up again in March. We had a live workshop with 135 participants, and then 184 did it online at 319. And then in April, 262 just finished their workshop today. And then 428 as of today finished their online workshop, bringing our total to 680. The reason for this is back when they enacted Public Law 3625, they said every employee existing in the government upon enactment of the new law would have up to 3 years to fulfill that mandate for getting ethics training. And that 3 year deadline expires next month. So ahead of that deadline, we generated a memorandum to every agency head advising them of the pending deadline, as well as a list of all the employees that are yet to get the training done. And that was enough to send a reminder for everyone to complete it. Oh, you and so what we have to present now, I'm going to pass it to Ruben, is we've now done an analysis of all the agencies across the government to share with you their levels of compliance and to give you an update of how far along we are with respect to every department or agency. So I believe that's for me to share screen. Let me see. It's hiding underneath that. Ruben, you can go ahead and take it away.
Got it. Thank you, Director. So as we prepared a presentation, um, but as of today, in regards to the Ethics in Government Program update, so we did it where we divided into agencies that are 100% compliant and agencies that are below that, divided those into 3 tiers. But we'll go over those agencies that are 100% compliant. We have 28 agencies, government commissions, and departments that are 100% compliant. Do you want me to name all 28? If you have questions, I can name the 28, but we have 28 that are fully 100% compliant, where everyone in the agency has taken an ethics training before the due date. 60, 60 some, 65, 66 departments and agencies. Right. Yeah, so
There you go.
these are the 28 agencies that are 100% compliant. And then next, we divided those that are not 100% compliant into 3 tiers. Those are in tier 1, those are agencies that are 80 to 99. Tier 2 would be 50 to 79%, and then tier 3 would be less than 50% compliance. Next. So as you can see, we have 19 agencies under tier 1, which are 80 to 99% compliance. And these are on track to complete and will be 100% compliant by the end of May. Some of them, to give an example, BBMR only need 1 employee, and that employee has registered for training already. So they're going to be 100% compliant by this month. Others are about 10, 20, 15 more employees before they reach the 100% compliant rate, which is really good. So that our letter kind of worked. We've seen attraction in agencies that were stagnant before, but now they're on their way to reaching 100% compliant. Next, sir. Next. They'll be there. Tier 3, yes. So tier 2 are those that are 50 to 79% compliant. So there are 8 agencies here, and these agencies are on track to complete it by May 2024. These agencies have about less than 100 employees before they reach 100% compliant. Mayor's Council of Guam, so the entire Mayor Council, yes. They're less than 100 employees before they reach 100% compliant. HPLO, which is Health Professional Licensing Office. Yeah. And then finally, we have Tier 3, which the damn 100% compliant. But Tier 3, we have less than 50% completion. These are 10 agencies. We get DOE is one of them. But they've been making traction. We've been communicating with them. to set up Zoom or hybrid workshops so we can get their employees trained. Others, DOA, we've seen good traction. Yeah, and the rest are on track, hopefully to be complete, 100% completion by May.
Yeah, we're creating a tailored workshop schedule for that department. And we're working with Attorney Camacho and Attorney Williams to create multiple workshops within a given month so that we can accommodate the workforce size. So you'll see that in total we have 11,000 employees, and which 7,500 have already successfully completed the workshop. The remainder is primarily just GDOE that is behind. It ends in May of 2024, so they'll have until the end of the month. Both Ruben and Ariel have been tasked to work with the identified points of contact at the department to ironing out the schedule and getting our presenters there. We've even increased the capacity for our Zoom workshops. We used to only fit 100, but we've now expanded to 300 in order to have multiple sessions, and then maybe multiple users on a license so that we can get everyone through by the deadline. But based on this traction, I think we can confidently say across the entire government of Guam, it's about 99% absent GDOE that has been completed. And we're really excited that we're seeing that level of compliance. But once we get through the Department of Education, you're going to see our numbers skyrocket because they just have that many employees. They're the largest employer for the government of Guam. Any questions for the information being shared here with the commission?
So I don't know if this is gonna be part of the report or if we're done on as far as the ethics training. But what happens like in June, for example, right, with those that are not in compliance?
We'll prepare a compiled report as to which agencies haven't fully complied. And we can even go as far as naming the employee that hasn't yet fulfilled that and present that to the commission. We can also generate communications from the commission, whether that be through the form of a resolution to that agency, letting them know that the compliance deadline has since passed, and we urge the remaining employees to fulfill that as soon as possible. Ultimately, if there is a lack of compliance, we can refer that to the agency head to pursue any administrative recourse or adverse action against the employees. Yes, yes. We do have a page for ethics training compliance, and then we also included this in our summary of opinions, which is due for the second edition. We'll discuss that in the last part of new business.
And then, of course, keep us commissioners abreast if we need to complete our trainings as well, please.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations, everybody. Good job.
Thank you, commissioners. There were moments where we weren't sure if 3 years was enough time to get everyone through. But through enough determination and a willingness also from the agencies to comply outside any maneuvering by the commission itself. We're really appreciative that we work collaboratively to see this level of success and be able to share that with you all today. And that concludes our report. Yes. So I would say the top agencies, we listed the top 10. GDWE comes in at about 3,700 employees. The second largest entity is Guam Memorial Hospital at 1,000 employees. They're not in the fully compliant, but we've seen staggering numbers from GMHA to get their nurses and other professionals through our online workshop. GMHA is on track to being 100% compliant. Airport has, I think we can confirm that number for you, Commissioner. Yes. 231 employees from the airport. Yeah. But all of it comes down to leadership, management of those entities. When you see a strong leader step in and say, this needs to get done and this is your deadline. A good example is the University of Guam has 1,000. Once the president stepped into office, she instructed the Human Resources Office to ensure everyone reaches compliance. And so we're getting large numbers from the university, and we really commend President Enriquez for being able to achieve that. GCC as well as 100% compliance with Dr. Okada. We just had our last batch of folks that were newly hired that attended today's workshop or are taking the online workshop. Any other questions on this presentation? If not, this concludes my director's report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director Kanga. We may just acknowledge the presence of Commissioner Marilyn Bora, who stepped in during your director's report. Commissioner Mayor, thank you for joining us. Moving on, we still have, that's good. We still have Dr. Jack on the line. Yeah, all right. So let's move into closed proceedings.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If we could get a motion to move into closed proceedings and then a vote.
Motion to approve closed proceedings?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. We are moving into closed proceedings.
The time now is 1:23 p.m. All right, testing. Okay, Mr. Chair.
Okay, let's work to move back into regular session. Can I get a motion to do so?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? No, hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, a motion carries. We are back in regular session. It is 2:02 in the afternoon. Moving forward, item number 5, unfinished business. That's A, Director, Commission Boardsmanship Training Education Program.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm gonna pass this on. So we've compiled, and thank you to every commissioner that's provided their responses to the question prompts that were shared with you. I didn't mean to put such thought-provoking questions together. I know some of you mentioned that. But what Ruben's done is he's taken now a consolidation of the top themes for your responses, and this is what he'll be presenting.
Got it. So for the first question, how can the commission enhance the efficiency and transparency of the investigative process for allegations of ethical misconduct within the Guam Ethics Commission? These were the top themes in your answers. One was to do a news release after every meeting about decisions and accomplishments the commission votes on. And two is to distribute the summary of opinions to more people, agencies, so they can gain more exposure about our decisions. And then the second one is, in what ways can we optimize and improve the current mandatory ethics training to ensure it effectively educates individuals on ethical standards and practices? One is to create and conduct training specific for specific roles and management level, whether there be directors, board members, or rank and file employees. So we specifically tailor the trainings for them. Two is to push out micro learning initiatives, send out FAQs, fun facts on emails to remind government employees about ethical standards. And three is to measure the retention of knowledge and reporting data, which kind of goes hand in hand with number 2. Three is, what strategies can we implement to increase public awareness and engagement with the Guam Ethics Commission's annual summer opinions, promoting a culture of transparency and accountability. I know one of the biggest goals is to create a social media account and maintain a social media presence. Two is to continue doing educational speaking sessions with key stakeholders quarterly. And three is to create education materials for distribution, which would be like the pamphlets, notebooks and stuff like that. Next is, how can we leverage technology to streamline and modernize the Ethics Commission's processes, such as case management for investigations and delivery of ethics training? One, look into case management and online tools. I know from Google they were mentioning a few, and we try to incorporate these as well already, but we want to look into if it's something that someone could build for us or something we could just subscribe to. And number two was the creation of a mobile application, which the OPA and others have as well. So we can add that to our goals. Last one, what measures can be taken to strengthen collaboration with other relevant entities, both within and outside the government, to ensure a comprehensive and cohesive approach to addressing ethical concerns within the government of Guam? One of the really standouts was to do agency visits and conduct meetings with the directors and employees to either explain more about what we can offer and just to promote the commission, and network and connect through COCOL and other conferences that we can leverage to either gain best practices or to show best practices that the commission already employs. And finally, developmental needs with the executive director and the commission staff is to, of course, continue to attain and maintain appropriate certifications and attend conferences for best practices.
And that's up for discussion or any questions by the commission, but I think it captures, at least for the staff, a clear performance indicators for how we're meeting those objectives set by the commission. And thank you so much this information is really helpful. I think what we're seeing is we're on target. We're actually addressing those very initiatives to date, and we hope to have a complete report at our next annual evaluation 2025. Any questions on this report?
I just had one, you were saying about creating different kinds of training for different groups of people. I was thinking like you could make one just for teachers or firemen or policemen, because thinking of their specific roles in the community and what kind of ethics things that they would come up with would be different from like Guam Power Authority but like airport and the port would both be similar because they're dealing with clients and things coming and going from the island. So I don't know how you guys would do that. We maybe could like try and come up with categories of employees and then think about, or maybe ask some of them to come in and give you a little, do a little brainstorming with them about what kinds of ethics things that would be useful to them. I know Meg and I went to one with the Camacho, Attorney Camacho, and it was just for principals.
Mm.
And they talked about things that were like, they had to think about like grass cutting, contracts, and not asking, or even the people who would take pictures for the kids and gifts that they were getting. Well, those aren't really gifts, but that was, he specifically addressed their issue. I think it was really useful to them. So I think that'd be, good for the whole government. That's all I
Yes.
have to say. Everything else looks great.
Thank you. And we agree. So we're working
Yeah.
with that and we're finding different learning management softwares that we can leverage to achieve that go far beyond our current capabilities that we avail on the website. Thank
Yeah,
you.
these are, this is a pretty aggressive list of to-dos if you make, right? So, kudos to you for taking all of that on, right? It's, I'm looking at each individual theme there and it feels, demanding. So any support that we can help with, let us know. Budget wise, I know that we're constantly constrained, right? So obviously you don't have me to tell you to try to be as resourceful, right, as we can be. But yeah, we look forward to at least the greater social media type presence. I think that would likely be one of the easier routes to take and send messages out, number one, mainstream, and number two, to a wider grouping of people. So that's just my take, right, on things. Other things like printed material, I'm not so much a fan of, right? To be quite honest with you, anytime I'm handed printed brochures or whatnot, it's not a lot of value to me because I'm not going to read the text on all of that stuff. I'll look at images, I'll look at pictures and whatnot, but that's as far as I'm going to go on a brochure. You can find me on an app or you can find me, doing a number of different things electronically, but that's just me. All right. Yeah.
But actually, I think what Chris is saying is pretty much how most people feel. That because we have the experience with Guampedia that most people don't want to read all this long. They want to just watch a little movie.
Especially
They're-
text.
Yeah.
Text on a typo, for example.
Yeah. So,
I guess you can feel the juice.
Noted, Mr. Chair. Thank you. That's really good feedback and insight. So you'll get updated material before it gets disseminated because I imagine the commission will need to give its seal of approval as we will be representing the commission. All right. Anything further for strategic planning?
well, one other thing I wanted to say about doing that campaign like on Instagram or whatever, Facebook, is just I don't know you guys' skill level in that, marketing, and maybe somebody in marketing could like help you with that. Like, you guys could come up with a list and then they can like advise you like what would work best. Cause I know it is a specialized field and there's you can like And it doesn't cost that much to put things on Instagram, right? And Facebook, it's really very affordable. So we just got to get something strong message, or a series of strong messages that we could use. So that's what I would advise, is try and find someone who can help, or maybe go to one of these other ethics commissions in Kogal and then see if they already developed one that would, we could adapt for our community. Yeah,
Definitely.
okay.
Thank you for the suggestion. Okay. That concludes, if you'd like me to proceed with the next item, Mr. Chair, I can, item B.
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is relative to the performance evaluation for the executive director as well as the pay adjustment. So I've attached to your packets a copy of the board evaluations and the raw scores. So I apologize if it is a bit tiny, but it's under old business. It follows the strategic plan. So yes, there are 49 questions that were asked and evaluated of the executive director. And in total, there was a total of 240 points possible that the director could score. And this year, I received a total score of 219.6, which brings my average score to 4.58. At the previous board meeting, the commissioners had asked me to prepare what was the starting salary and then the adjustments that were made, at least for context. And this is where you see in 2021 that starting salary. My average score following my first evaluation was 4.65. The commission granted a 3-step increase at that level. 2023, my score was 4.5. Then the commission again granted a 3-step increment. And then in 2024, the commission rated me higher at 4.58. And then that is the next 3 steps for consideration of the commission. Based on the traction and awarding of the step or the increments, that average score table is provided. So if the score is less than 3, there's no adjustment. If a score reaches 3 to 3.5, you receive a 1-step. 3.5 to 4.5 is 2 steps, and anything exceeding 4.5 is a 3-step. And we quantify that by saying, in order to achieve a score higher than half of the whole, you would need to obtain at least 80% of a score of the higher number within those categories. So to get 4.5, you would need 80% of 5s and 20% no less than of 4s. And then if the score is 3, then it drops the score average even further. So that's presented for the commission for your consideration.
I support the pay adjustment to 3 steps based on our average score evaluation of the executive director.
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty clear by just looking at, what the way you explained it, that we should go up to 3. Yeah.
Okay.
So I agree with that.
And Jesse, I do have to say, I think you're doing an excellent job. And I also wanted to, in looking at the evaluations, the way that we would typically do it, as I'm looking at my scores and things like that, right? I didn't give you a 3 to say, your performance was bad or anything like that, because in the corporate world, Mary and I used to, 3 is perfectly acceptable work, right? And then anything 4 or 5 is like exceptional and beyond. And as you notice, we fluctuated between those ratings. So I do think that you are right on track. I think you're doing an excellent job. I think you've really done a lot of work with the Ethics Commission, and that's commendable. So I definitely, whatever the rest of the council supports is, I'm on board with it, as long as it makes sense, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Sorry, I haven't been pressing that. Thanks. I think we share the same. So without having to repeat that, great job. I think and we've had a conversation about that where it's one thing to when 1 year may pose different needs and demands. And that first year had very hectic demands and came with unexpected challenges. So responding to those things with regards to like your leadership and those are circumstantial, right? There are circumstances that came up, but then as we get into BAU or just what's normal, then we kind of set that benchmark to be like, okay, so even to fluctuate with results to where, okay, every year and I'm not speaking to you, just generally speaking, someone could have exceeded expectations, consistently for years, but then as the demands change or the circumstantial environment changes where it becomes now normal, then to Daphne's point, even a 3 or what we call in our world, like that G level, the PIGX, right, or whatever we call that, but that's still meeting and exceeding job requirements. So I think keeping that in mind, and we should make sure that the goals set for on the next year. So always having a mid and long-term plan to always just set the bar for you to where it's not just BAU. We're always putting strategic initiatives above, which clearly demonstrated. I just think that the on that first year was like, whoa, it was a lot. Unexpected move, all these unexpected things. So I hope that better explains my need to have, reconsidered certain things. So, but I agree with that. You guys are doing an excellent job, and I think your staff is a big part of your evaluation. Yeah. So good job to all of you.
Thank you, commissioners. And I really do appreciate those comments, and it's well received because you're right. I think from a perspective, the 3 may have initially caused some sticker shock, like, oh, what am I not doing that doesn't warrant the higher score? But as you explained it, you're right. We're setting these initial goals or these static goals, but if we can get to the long-term goals or set where we can see that a 5 has been accomplished clearly,
Yeah.
that would be perfect. And it gives me at least a clear pathway for what the performance of a 5 needs to be demonstrated.
And Jesse, to be perfectly honest, I hardly give 5s, right? Like in my line of work, to get a 5 is extremely difficult, right? And if we gave everybody 5s, it just wouldn't make any sense, because then if you are always performing at a 5, then damn, we better be phenomenal, right? We're rocking, right? Like the expectations are too easy, right? So we wanted to set that kind of standard, and like even for my team at work, everyone was rated a 3, right? And that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate their work or that they're doing a bad job. It means they're doing exactly as they need to be. And as you see, we've differentiated key areas. So I just wanted to set that expectation. We're not trying to, say you're not doing a good job. It's just, this is how we would typically, because everything else is a stretch goal.
Yes.
And if everyone was a 5, then
Understood. Yeah, that
so.
provides clear understanding of where that's coming from. And I do appreciate you just as much as well. So Chair, if there's a consensus, the motion needs to be to set the salary at the rate provided there and then an effective date. So I believe we're mid payroll now. It could be Monday, which is the 29th. If that's the effective date. We can't do back pay, even though the evaluation was due January. We'll just take it from the date of the action of the commission. The Guam statute doesn't provide back pay. Yeah, that's not.
Okay, then we will go ahead and work to move on this matter? Commissioners? Can I get a motion to adopt a pay adjustment for a director based on our average score evaluation for 2024?
I make the motion.
I'll second that motion.
And I'm sorry, just to be clear, are we adopting a three-step adjustment?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Director, and again, teamwork, right? So keep it up, everybody. Thank you. Keep it up, yeah.
All right, thank you, commissioners. That concludes our old business. The first item under new business, I'd like to request that we table item A. We will provide the commission with an updated action.
Okay,
We'll move on to item B. This is relative to reviewing and approving GETH Policy 8, Continuity of Operations Policy. Now, we discovered in Title 5, GCA subsection 3132, it provides that every agency.
apologies, Director, I'm seeing that as item A on my agenda. Can you clarify? Just the housekeeping item.
Oh, yeah.
Is that just my agenda or even yours, commissioners? Review and approve GEF policy 8, is that item A?
Okay, that's probably
Okay,
the
all right, I
updated
guess we-
agenda file. So
Okay.
no need to table, we'll proceed with the policy, which is up for discussion now. So,
Okay, sorry, just clarifying again, we are on item 6A. Review and approval of GEF policy 8, continuity of operations policy. Is that correct? All right,
yes,
Director?
apologies, Commissioner. So when we were updating the agenda, it altered and removed the original item A, but the original item A that you see on the screen is what was published on the paper. So this is the correct agenda. The team was being advanced and they just updated it to clean up your agenda. But if we could get a table motion, item A.
All right, we are going with the director's agenda and we are tabling item 6A, commission to act on the following case. That's ETH 24001 OT 202. Yeah. I'm good with that. Moving on, item 6B.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And now on the continuity of operations policy. As I was explaining earlier, there is a Guam law that requires every agency and department to prepare a continuity of operations. And this is to explore significant disruptions to the operations of any department, how that department might respond. And by significant disruptions, this might include issues with personnel absences. Key personnel are absent for either a temporary or long period of time, or if there is a subjected budget cut at 10, 20, 30%, how the commission might respond. And then if we have a severe natural disaster that would remove our access to facilities or to equipment or to our files. So this plan that's being proposed to the commission is how the commission would respond in those particular cases. So Section 3 talks about the loss of personnel by retirement, whether known or unknown in advance, National Guard deployment, military reserve deployment, sickness, death, or other contingencies. So the first subsection under Section 3 talks about the prolonged absence. So we discussed the current makeup of the officials, and we addressed that in the event of a planned absence of any staff for a prolonged period of time, team members may be assigned additional responsibilities pursuant to Geth Policy 1, which was approved at the commission's January meeting. Number 2 discusses standard operating procedures. So we just spell out that there were standard operating procedures that clearly provide commission staff with information to perform all functions of the operations of the commission, and that detailed guidelines promote the effective and efficient performance of staff duties in a manner that reduces errors and minimizes risk. 3 is response plan for key roles. So we create a response plan that is crucial for ensuring the continuity and success of the Guam Ethics Commission. So pursuant to Policy 1, again, in the executive director's temporary absence, the executive director shall assign a staff member to serve in an acting capacity. If there is an absence with the staff roles, then the commission empowered the executive director to make those adjustments with the existing staff levels. Section 4 discusses the loss, malfunction, or breakdown of equipment necessary for the efficient provisions of services. So we'll begin with laptops. I discussed in this policy that every staff member's been assigned an equipment, and we do maintain 2 spare in our inventory. So in the event that there's a loss, total loss or temporary loss of said equipment, we can issue a temporary one to cover for that gap. The copy machine fortunately has a service contract that includes a total replacement in the event and natural disaster causes that equipment to break or become faulty. The AV system also has a backup, which we currently use, right? So the microphone and the cameras for the laptops will ensure that we continue to comply with the open government law if these hardware decides not to operate anymore. Our telephone, we use VoIP, so technically we can be accessible anywhere, and we have the capability to see the system direct to other secondary lines if the primary line is not available. So we'll always have uninterrupted communication. We do have technical support to troubleshoot internet services and resolve issues. And in the event that the disruption is for an undetermined amount of time, we may request a temporary device to provide that internet from our provider to ensure maintained connectivity. For electronic records management and data recovery, so we keep all files in a secure designated area, and in the event of a loss of the physical form, we do have electronic records that we keep on the cloud. And then periodically, I think we do this once a month, we actually download the entire cloud into an external hard drive, which we keep separate. And that way, if the cloud loses its data, we have up to the last date of the downloaded storage. Yes. Yes. I will keep it.
Classified.
No, we could try. I mean, it's possible. I've seen it done. We might, if the commission desires to go to a bank and open up a security box and put the drive in there. But for now, it's just housed at my house. Unavailability of facility in the event that the commission's facility becomes inoperable due to an unforeseen circumstance. We have contingency plans that allow for remote working or telecommuting. And this ensures that the commission's operations remain uninterrupted. For reduction of funding levels, so if in the event the commission experiences reduced funding, the director shall report to the commission the impact of the reduction will have on the operation and provide recommended actions for the commission to consider. These actions include re-examining the training fee for the Ethics and Government Program in accordance with Geth Policy 5, or to submit for consideration a budget realignment plan which prioritizes the spending areas and levels in a manner that doesn't compromise core functions. Any of the combination of the above, we will take all corresponding actions and present that to the board. And then there's an effective date. So I do want to start by commending Pam Abaza. She took the lead in generating this report once we found that this report was required. So I want to give her a huge kudos for working together and getting this done. And this is now for consumption for the board to consider.
Well done, Pam.
Ask one question. In section 3, the prolonged absence of commission staff, do you think we should give that an actual time frame? Like 3 months or just like, because when it just says prolonged, I could interpret that as 10 years. You know what I mean? Think
Yes, we
should-
sure can.
Yeah,
But, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
just
I
say-
don't have a recommended time frame. I mean, that could just be
Yeah.
at the discretion of the commission. But
You
we
guys
can,
have
we can.
But I also think that, there are some portions of this that are already set by some kind of law, right? Like, I don't know, like, FMLA or like military leave or whatever.
If,
That's federal.
So it should say that, in the event of a planned absence, the team members may be assigned additional responsibilities.
yes, correct. And if,
We think
Well, that's
well, what would constitute a prolonged absence?
constitutes prolonged.
Maybe anything in excess of the annual leave allotted to that said employee.
Because
Would that be
that form can, give other hours over, leave hours to another employee. People do, people do.
But I mean, technically, it's not vacation or the monthly meeting.
That's-
that's pretty much.
But anything beyond that, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna work 100 hours.
If you will, there's no urgency to the adoption, and this is the first reading for the commission. Why don't we table this? I'll make suggested edits and present it at the next meeting. And if it satisfies
can
the
check
commission,
with
we can
them.
approve. Right. We tried, but I think we're one of the few that are trying to be fully compliant.
He'll be copying ours, right?
Yeah, just kidding.
But we'll explore if any set the timelines and, generally we have such a small staff. So even if
I know.
one personnel were to be absent for a while, it does impact the operations and, I see what you mean by how we define
Yeah.
prolong. So, we'll take a second review, we'll edit it and we'll present those recommendations at the next meeting.
In the job descriptions, doesn't it not say other duties as required?
It does.
Yeah, so I think though that it also is dependent on who is absent, right? Because it's the duties that that person would be responsible for when they are absent, right? So if you do put a time period on that, then you're also kind of holding yourself to that time period. Would it not be on a discretionary basis on, with the facts of that actual situation at hand? So, if you are out, we're not gonna let it go 3 months without having some kind of a contingency plan of, who's gonna cover your duties and things of that nature. So I think it's very dependent on the situation and the timing of the leave. So
Absolutely.
that's my opinion.
To provide some refresher information, I believe when the commission was deliberating 7 policies, the first one was on the hiring and dismissal of the executive director and staff. There is a provision about the temporary absence of the director, what triggers are enabling the commission to now name the acting director and assume those roles in that temporary absence. If it's a long-term absence, then I think we laid out in the policy that the commission would set up a committee for a search and then the chair would lead that search committee or unless identifying another commissioner. So they are embedded in a separate policy. This one, I suppose, just aims to say if that major event were to occur, what steps are we taking? And that's why we spelled out, we followed the commission policy for, in this case, an absence of a team member, whether that be the director or a staff member. We followed the commission's approved policy 1, which spells out for us what we do in those instances. What we're going to do in the amendment is to say, if we're saying the term prolonged, then what is defined as prolonged? While temporary could be, a range. We'll go ahead and present that back at the next meeting, but thank you all for your clarifying statements.
And then this contingency plan is the same thing, but just in a chart form.
That's correct.
Okay.
Ultimately, we're allowing this to be any new personnel for the commission or even a new commissioner could absorb our entire operation from beginning to end and have a response for any instance that may arise while performing their duties.
I like how you put key responsibility of who and what. So that helps.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on, Mr. Chair, to review and approve IFB number GEF 224, which is the conflict council. If I might state for the record, since we're procuring, the request is for the commission to approve the staff to pursue this solicitation. We labeled it as an IFB, but because this is for professional services, mainly an attorney's service, we're going to rename that RFP, a request for proposal, that more aligns with what we're searching for. So we are asking the commission's approval to launch a request for proposal number 1-24, conflict counsel. And this is to maintain a third law firm to serve in the capacity as legal or prosecutorial counsel when either or both are in a situation where conflict exists and they cannot provide guidance or support to the commission. And to answer an earlier question presented by the commission, Ruben and Pam had attended a session hosted by the Guam Board of Attorneys, or Guam Bar. The Guam Bar held a Freedom of Information workshop, which both attended. And at that workshop, they met with the Guam Bar president, Attorney Terlaki, and asked if we could share our announcement with the Guam Bar and for that to be disseminated to all their members, which we got approval for. So we're going to share this announcement with the entire Guam Bar membership and hopes that we can get great responses for our conflict council. So now the question is to the commission if they will approve our office announcing and publishing the RFP 124.
Can I get a motion for us to support this together? Any second?
I'll second the motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Please find us a conflict counsel.
Will do, Mr. Chair.
Director, thank you.
And good luck.
Will do, yes.
Hard.
Yes, you can. Could you send Chris a WhatsApp or email asking to continue virtually, and then we'll just attach it to the minutes.
We're almost done.
Yes. So to continue on, we have review and approve of electronic filing of mandated reports for financial disclosures. I'm going to read this resolution and to give a little background. So along with your conflict of interest statements, we have full financial disclosures that are required by public officials, and Guam Election Commission has been requiring officials turn in person at their office. So retired Judge Barrett Anderson posed the question, could we not submit these via email? And the response was, the Ethics Commission serves as the repository, therefore the Ethics Commission needs to grant that acceptance. So I've prepared a resolution to proclaim the commission accepts electronic filing, and then we'll read it off of there. So if you have a copy, can I ask one of the staff members to read it, the resolution?
Can I just ask one question? So now we are prepared to do this, because in the past, it was like, we knew it was coming, but now we're gonna do it.
Yes, and when you
We're gonna
receive,
file them, right? We're not gonna like investigate whether they're true or not.
it's possible you can use that as evidence, but I think the extent of this resolution is to say you can email us your signed form, while in practice, we were collecting all your forms and then going in person on your behalf to file it. This
Okay.
would provide the convenience, removing another barrier officials might have with submitting their required disclosures.
Okay. Resolution number 2024-002, relative to the electronic filing of mandated reports under the Public Official Disclosure Act 4 GCA Chapter 13. Whereas the Guam Ethics Commission was established in Chapter 15, Title 4, Guam Annotated, primarily to adjudicate complaints filed against elected officials, appointed officers, and public employees of the government of Guam for violating the ethical code of conduct. And whereas the Guam Ethics Commission is a vital government agency responsible for upholding ethical standards and promoting good governance in our island community. And whereas the Guam Ethics Commission plays a crucial role in maintaining public trust by hearing cases regarding violations of ethical standards for elected officials along with all persons employed by the government of Guam. And whereas the Guam Ethics Commission recognizes its responsibility to uphold the Public Official Disclosure Act, requiring each official to provide a financial report annually. And whereas the said act mandates that said officials submit a report detailing gross income, gift received, and significant debts, ensuring transparency and accountability. And whereas the current processes of filing said reports necessitate modernization to improve efficiency and accuracy. And whereas the Commission aims to accept the electronic filing of required reports under the Public Official Disclosure Act, as the electronic filing will provide a more accessible and user-friendly platform for officials to fulfill the reporting requirements in a more streamlined manner. And whereas the transition to accepting the electronic filing is intended to remove barriers to compliances with the reporting requirements stipulated by the Public Official Disclosure Act and facilitate public access to disclosure information, whereby enhancing public trust in the ethical governance of officials. Now therefore be it resolved that the Guam Ethics Commission hereby endorses the acceptance of an electronic filing as a proper submission for financial reports by officials as mandated by the Public Official Disclosure Act. And be it further resolved that the chairman of the Guam Ethics Commission certify and attest to the adoption thereof, and copies of the same transmitted to Gerard C. Crisostomo, chairman of the Guam Election Commission, and Maria I.D. Pangilinan, executive director of the Guam Election Commission, passed and adopted by the Guam Ethics Commission this 26th day of April 2024.
Thank you, Pam. And for the commissioners, now any questions on the resolution? If not, can I request for a motion to approve?
Mr. Director,
Oh, yes, Attorney McDonald.
um, for the purposes of compliance with POTA, is it going to be considered filed at the election commission, or is it going to be considered filed at the ethics commission?
Considered filed with the Guam election, as VOTA requires the filing at Guam election. It just states that Guam Ethics is transmitted copies. So in our
Okay.
communication with the executive director of the Guam election, they just want the concurrence of the Ethics Commission that they'll accept the electronic filing. So this resolution aims to attest to that.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question. Will when these are submitted to us, will they become public record? Are people can access them?
They currently are accessible to the public. What we process is requests made by the public for a specific official's financial disclosure. Then we'll provide them a copy.
I make the motion to approve this resolution 2024-002.
I'll go ahead and second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. And any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. Again, just wanted to point out that Commissioner Marilyn Borja is on a teleconference with us now. And the motion carries unanimously, excuse me. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Commission, for your approval. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda. This is relative to considering the Ethics in Government Program exemption request from UOG PALS faculty. If I can request for the commission staff to please read the email received from the University of Guam School of Business and Public Administration.
Confident Guam Ethics team, I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to inquire if UOG SBPA professors provided and conducted 4-hour general ethics course trainings in 2021 to 2022. Are they able to receive a certificate of completion or do they have to take the training? Please let me know your earliest convenience so I can advise them to register if needed.
So to provide background to the commission, this request says essentially that because the instructors served as instructors for our workshop, they're hoping to get an exemption to having to undergo ethics training. Our recommendation is to disapprove, as currently even our existing instructors like Attorney Vince Camacho, who concurrently serves as the Municipal Planning Council member for the Village of Tumon Harmon. He still underwent an ethics training despite being an instructor. So we're hoping that we can set some type of standard practice and provide a response to this. But again, this is up for final action by the commission if you have any questions.
Yeah, I mean, I see the point, but I think if other instructors have already or continue to take the course, then we kind of leave it at that, right? I don't see how it'll be too strenuous for these employees or professors to undergo the training if everybody is held to that same standard, for example. That's my take.
I'm kind of split on it. I mean, if you're teaching the information, you pretty much know it. I think the only value of taking the course would be taking the course with somebody else and seeing how they present it, so they can possibly see how somebody else puts it together and to up-level those skills or something like that. But other than that, I don't necessarily see it necessary for somebody who's actually teaching it then to take it. You know, if there was a test out, something like that they could go through and just answer, like test out of it. But if they're doing it over and over again, multiple times. Right, but they were, so they, for like the first year or two, they were teaching it multiple times. So they should pretty much know everything. If anything, have them sign something that says, I've taken the course, or I've the information, is whatever, they concur with it or whatever has to be done. So if they can't come back and say, oh, well, I never took it, I only taught it, that's baloney, but.
Vanessa is, the others are not, but they remain faculty with the university.
Yeah.
I perhaps, yeah, but but there's a waiver currently, so there would be no expense. It would just be that the official would attend the workshop. So I absolutely see your point that if it is from another instructor, there's different perspectives. And there are, yeah, what I would call updates to ethics that we receive even at Kogel. So I'm open to either platform for the commission. Maybe if it is to grant the request, if we can set a timeline that it would be granted for this period, but when they're due for their next 4 years, that they would
Absolutely.
have to attend the workshop.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're still covered. Right? Okay, moving-
So yeah, if we look at the 3-year term,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, so it would be in 2025.
yeah,
They would go through the workshop. So it would only, the date of completion would be as of their last conducted ethics training.
right.
And then when they're up for, right, when they're up for renewal, they would go through a workshop.
That makes sense to me.
So, okay, so they're saying, so what they're saying is they conducted this particular type of training between 21 and 22. Right. And so say in 2 years or so, they'll need to complete it again.
Correct. That seems like a balanced response. It will grant them, that acceptance, but it is not an indefinite waiver
Correct.
of the workshop. They would need to take the
It's not
refresher.
indefinite for anyone.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and I just don't want to open the floodgates either to, folks claiming to be experts or potentially even experts in this
Right.
field.
Yeah.
Trying to get waivers, et cetera, right? So just as long as we're not on a slippery slope there, then I'm all right with it. I'm all right with this particular exception.
So if
So
I
as long
might
as
say,
it's not indefinite, I'm sorry, so as long as it's,
agree, yeah. So if I might state for the record, the motion is to approve the waiver. And the date of their last training will be the date of their completed training. And which 4 years lapse, then they would need to undergo the refresher course. It is 4 years.
or in the event that they continue to be trainers,
Right, then it would extend.
then
Yes.
we would revisit that at that point.
Well,
Sure.
Well, I think part of it is that they're trainers from us, not that they're teaching the class. Right? It's not that they're taking the class to students, it's to the government. Yeah,
Yes, they were trainers approved by the commission
correct,
under memorandum of understanding with the university.
right.
Yeah.
But it's not their professor teaching an ethics class to students.
Correct.
That doesn't fly. It's the one that we're approving. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
All right,
And that would be a formal motion.
everybody got that? All of that?
Again, the motion is to approve the waiver and that the date of their last ethics training will serve as the date of completion. And that these officials would undergo the refresher 4 years from that date of issue.
Then for Vanessa Williams, since she's an ongoing ethics instructor for us, holy,
Same thing.
I believe that for Attorney Williams, she's not currently employed with the government, so there's no mandate for
oh, I
her.
see. Okay.
Yes, but they've included her name, I suppose, because she at one point served
Adjunct.
as an adjunct faculty for the university.
Okay. So I want to
Make the motion.
make the motion to approve these 7 individuals, that as of their last date, we recognize them as taking the training and completing the training, but they are held to 4 years of their last training date, that they would have to renew their training once again, their certificate.
I second that motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, director.
And thank you for your time, commissioners. We're nearly done. Second to last item is the cancellation of IFB number GETH 0124 related to telephone and internet services. This bid is currently on a state of procurement. We received a protest. So my request to the commission is to cancel the bid. We will instead find, we're still under contract for a significant amount of time, but we'll explore other procurement methods or if we issue out a new bid. Yes.
What happened?
There was a protest and the protest alleges there were questions posed by a bidder in which we provided responses to. They were not satisfied with the responses. Then they issued a protest. So there's no any interested vendor can protest for whatever reason, and they decided to exercise that right. So rather than keeping it on a state procurement for an extended period of time, because there were other interested bidders, we wish to cancel and return the packets received to all parties. And it's still early. Our services don't expire until the end of the year. So this was just advanced. And that would be a motion.
So how do we handle that moving forward? Is there any further response? Do we have attorneys involved?
So we're in contact, everything that we do for our procurement record, we discuss with our legal counsel. How we move forward is once this solicitation is canceled, then that ends that solicitation. When we require those services, we again review which procurement methods to pursue. And if it is a bid, then we issue a new bid with the new requirements, and then any interested party can provide a response. Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Can I get a motion to cancel IFB number GET 001-24 telephone and internet services?
Yes, Commissioner. I request for that exemption or the recusal. To recuse Commissioner Borja, she has conflict.
Okay. That's noted as okay. Any further discussion? No? Shall we put it to a vote? Okay, I'm
Motion to
sorry,
approve.
could I get a motion?
Yeah. Motion to approve.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries, Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I seem to have overlooked one other item in my eagerness to end the meeting as I've kept you for this marathon. Yes. Commissioner, could you turn on your mic? I believe it's your microphone is off.
Okay, I have a question. This might need to go to Joe, our attorney. We have sent several, like 6+, and we think we have a couple more to be sent to the AG's office for action. And I know we've asked multiple times, multiple times. Nothing is happening. It's just been stonewalled. Nothing's happening. So it's not fair to the people. It's not fair to anyone. What is our action? What kind of action can we take if the Attorney General is just holding everything up for us? We can't come to any conclusions, make any decisions. It's not serving the public, blah, blah, blah. What do we do?
Thank you.
What-
Yes. Yes, attorney.
What kind of matters are we referring to the Attorney General?
Their criminal matters are what purport to be criminal in nature. So these complaints that were filed with the commission issued a transmittal referring these cases for criminal prosecution by the Attorney General's office.
I mean, the Attorney General will have absolute discretion on whether or not to commence an investigation and a prosecution. So,
Oh, we can't hear him.
and there are a lot of.
Sorry,
hear me now?
Attorney. Yes, it was a bit choppy. It might be a lag in the connectivity on your side, but it appears to be clear now. Could you try again explaining?
Okay, so when it comes to whether to investigate further and whether to charge a crime, the Attorney General will actually have complete discretion over that. And so when a matter comes in, it gets assessed and determine how urgent, I guess, the matter is. And so if a matter was forwarded over and it had to do with somebody's physical danger, I imagine that would rank higher up in how they review it. I would suggest that if you like, I can follow up, and to the extent that, because you got to remember, these criminal investigations are all going to be confidential. And even the manner in how they investigate, how they end up charging, how they gather the evidence, all of that really, the ability to get the information of what's going on is going to be very, very limited. So if necessary, what we can do is either I can try to have a discussion with the Attorney General about some of these matters, or we can, but once I have a discussion with him, then, you know, if it ends up sort of like the Attorney General wants to use me for some of those services, then I can't do it at that point, because I'm actually acting on behalf of the commission. So maybe what you can do is just continue to write a letter and ask if we can expect anything to be done. When can I ask this? What was the nature of the crimes that were referred?
So it varies. I believe that for majority of the cases, it was the abuse of office. So they were using their capacity to obtain personal benefit. And then there was also a fraudulent accusation involved too.
So these are all public officers?
Correct.
Okay, so did the fraud lead to money, loss of money?
For some cases, it did.
Okay, so the good news, is something called the extended statute of limitations. The extended statute of limitations means that the Attorney General will be able to prosecute a crime 3 years after the person leaves that appointment to office. So as long as these guys continue to be employed, the Attorney General will still have another 3 years. Now, the other interesting part about is really there's something called a parallel proceeding. And in parallel proceedings, you're going to have an administrative proceeding as well as a criminal proceeding. Now, the Supreme Court of the United States has said that you can have both at the same time. So what is it exactly that we're looking for the Attorney General for that's keeping the commission from doing its business? Or are these already concluded cases where we believe that there is a crime?
So these cases have, at least at the commission level, received an action for referral. And now the commissioner is posing the question, what is the status of those cases? If the commission has done its due diligence, it'd like an update as to whether the matter was pursued or dismissed. That I believe we've not received word back yet from the Office of the Attorney General, even one out of the 7. that were transmitted had been picked up or decided to be pursued further.
Okay, but in terms of the commission's own work, is there anything that's left unresolved?
For those cases, I don't believe so.
Okay, so your business is done. And once it's been dealt with by the commission, really the jurisdiction turns over to the attorney general. And if let's assume that this has been referred to because everything is under confidence. What exactly are we looking for the attorney general to do that's within the jurisdiction of the commission?
So the commission has had to provide regular updates as to the performance of its duties, and you're well aware that most of the work is done in confidence. So when members of the public approach the commissioners as to what activities it's performing, it's hard to describe any bit of updates when these are held in confidence.
I'm not sure there's an obligation on the commission once the matter has been closed and referred to the attorney general. I would refer the complainant to the office of the attorney general. That's my recommendation. I would say that once you've issued an advisory opinion or taken some other action due to the confidential nature of the matter, you really don't owe an obligation any further because the jurisdiction over the matter is really with the attorney general. So again, having seen how these things work, sometimes the way the investigation and the gathering of the evidence unfolds, not only could it take a matter of time, it could be that there are, they're gathering the evidence, putting the case together. These things just don't happen overnight, I guess is what I'm saying. And because of the extended statute of limitations, as long as there's no imminent threat or bodily harm of that kind of thing, or somebody is actually about to go to the bank and withdraw the $1 million and we're in a position to stop it, I would imagine that the jurisdiction of this commission, once it's made the referral and taken action, is sort of closed. And then now the jurisdiction is actually with the attorney general. So if the complainant comes back, I would say, our business is done here and we referred the matter to the attorney general. We recommend you go seek any information you might be able to get from the attorney general.
So Attorney McDonald, and this doesn't need to be answered today, but what could be posed is, does the commission have grounds to release information concerning those cases to identify the parties involved in the violation?
I think in making the referral to the attorney general, once you've got authority to make that referral, and I believe that exists in statute, then you're allowed to actually disclose the relevant information. But I would do it through a vote of the commission saying that having concluded, we're keeping it confidential, but we're making the referral to the attorney general. Because you cannot make a referral and not name somebody. So as soon as the authority was granted to you, you can make the referral, but your duty to enforce is really just within the Ethics Commission's enabling law. And anything else sort of, it's either going to belong to another agencies like the OPA or the Office of the Attorney General. So I know it's a little frustrating, but really, I would just recommend that if a referral has been made, if you're about to make the referral, I would also vote to make sure that the commission agrees to send it to the attorney general. Let's also put on the record that by law, you're allowed to make referrals to the attorney general, and that the commission is concluding that means that you're allowed to actually refer sort of the complaint, the facts. I wouldn't refer any work product, but any final record that you have, then you should be able to provide some information. I would not provide work product, but definitely the confidentiality aspect, I would say, falls away once you make that decision to make the referral, but it still remains not a public record because of the nature of the referral is for a criminal investigation. And I would say the same thing with the OPA. If you make a referral to the OPA, of course you're going to refer the name, the agency, and those matters. But as to the public, it still remains confidential with the commission.
Okay, so if it pleases the commission, I would like to work with the attorney to come up with the specific language and to sanitize which documents are disclosable. We'll include it on the agenda for the next meeting so that the commission can consider approving the publishing of the names of the officials and publishing of the case information that's since been sanitized.
Because if this
Okay,
just sits on somebody's books, the issue can just continue. You know, because right now, they haven't been brought, you know, we haven't talked to that official. Nobody's talked to that official that we are aware of. And so they could keep on doing what they're doing indefinitely to an extent until something's acted on them.
Is the public official's hand still in the cookie jar as we speak?
Yes.
At
Yes.
least for one, but I know of another official who's since separated from the government.
Okay, then, you know, maybe it's a matter of asking for an audience. I guess the chairman and the executive director can ask for an audience with the attorney general and stress upon the import. And I know it's frustrating, but really at the end of the day, the absolute discretion on where and how to charge is going to be with the attorney general. And so that has to line up with all the other priorities. And so the frustration that you're feeling, obviously everyone in the community who's been a victim of crime feels the same frustration, that doesn't believe their crime has been adequately investigated and even prosecuted. But the ongoing nature of it, and if they still have their hand in the cookie jar, I would say, let's go over there and have a talk with him. And as long as I don't know the details of it, then I would be able to handle it from that side. But otherwise, all I'm giving you is general advice without having any knowledge of the facts or who any of it is. And so those are just my recommendations. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is so that, because I take engagements by specific engagements, not by necessarily owing all of my duties to one client. It's only by matter. You know, he may want to use outside counsel like myself for some of these, but if the commission prefers that I actually act on commission's behalf and bring these through and help the attorney general to sort of think through and maybe emphasize the commission's frustration, I'll be very happy to do that. In other words, you get sort of first bite on whether to engage me for the purposes of the attorney general or not.
Okay, noted, Attorney McDonald. Any other questions? But thank you, Commissioner Tekenko, for raising that.
I did want to ask, the person who makes the complaint, they still remain anonymous? If we did any kind of press, would say there's been a complaint by the member of the public about this was found to be true, and it's been referred to the Attorney General's office, or any of you guys have to work that out.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So Attorney McDonald, on that question, I'll work with you. I do know that in statute, when the complaint moves along the process and eventually reaches the level of a full hearing, then the right of the accused to see their accuser exists, and they would then be identified. But I'll work with Attorney McDonald on that question. Okay. Mr. Chair, if I could just continue with the agenda and then we'll go back to, so we overlooked item F, which was the budget realignment plan. Since the commission just approved the director's salary adjustment, I'd like to factor that in and then present the new numbers at the next meeting, so if we could table that. And then.
That's
for-
fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And then for summary of opinions, second edition, so we're at that time of year where we're due to publish our summary of opinions. So this was just concluded. It received a review by prosecutorial counsel as well as our legal counsel. And you're able to see the first copies for this second edition of the summary of opinions.
So yeah, so this is actually kind of like my response to that whole question is our responsibility to the public and any complainant, for example, right? And the question comes then, so what is the Guam Ethics Commission doing? Well, kind of right here, and it's going to be on our website. You can get a copy of it here in the office, right? Yeah, so I think staying in our lane is a good idea, if you ask me. So,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think in practice, the commission had approved formally the summary of opinions. Therefore, we can make it a matter of public record if we can make this available to the public. So with the commission's concurrence, I like to request a motion to approve the second edition of the summary of opinions.
yes, Director, I just one thing, if we could, I don't know, do we want to date it somewhere just so that way it's easier to keep track? I know we marked it second edition, but do we want to, I know this is beautiful already and printed in hard copy or whatnot, but maybe the electronic version we can maybe date? for example?
We could probably indicate the month and year that it was approved. And then we can make the edit to the first edition to reflect that.
And then I'm sure that somewhere in here, yeah, well, there definitely are dates throughout, so. Yeah, at least on the surface of things, right? If you look at second edition, it can be, what year was that, right? Yeah. Okay. Any questions, anything else on this?
No, this is just the first review, so we can send it electronically and we'll confirm if the hyperlink on the electronic file works. If not, that's a great suggestion. Yeah, to spell it out. But Ruben just confirmed, it does work on the digital file.
Yeah.
You can click on that. So then the amended motion that's being requested is to approve subject to corrections, the second edition. If there are no other comments.
Yes, do I have a motion to approve our second edition? of
I'll make the
summary?
motion to approve the second edition of the summary of opinions. for
Perfect.
2025.
A second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously. The adoption of our summary of opinions subject to edits. Thank you, Director.
Mr. Chair. And before we proceed to announcements, I did want to request the commission to return back to unfinished business for the pay adjustment. When the motion was made, we just need to clarify for the record. It was only stated the numbers test, but the salary number needs to be stated and approved so that it's reflected on the minutes. So if I might ask for that.
Thank you, Director. Could we get that rubric? There we go. All right, so just to be clear, earlier we passed the pay adjustment for our director going up 3 steps to quantify that movement. That's at 107,859 per annum or per month.
Well, per annum, Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
okay.
So the motion is to set the director's salary at 107,859.
Right.
If we could get that motion and then we'll reflect that on the
Okay.
record.
That's per annum. I was just joking. Can I get a motion to adopt the 3-step pay increase? To
earlier-
107,859. We just didn't disclose the dollar amount. We said 3-step, just not the dollar amount.
I'll set the motion to adopt step 3 at 107,859.
Okay, we have a second by Dr. Jack. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Commissioners, and that exhausts our agenda items, Mr. Chair. I have nothing further.
Any other announcements? Anything from the commission? Anything from our crew, from our team?
I do have one, don't leave right away. Since the resolution was approved, if we could get those that are here to sign, and then we'll work on obtaining the signatures from the remaining commissioners. But other than that, I do, again, thank the commission for their continued support of the team. And I appreciate all your time today. I know it was a marathon of a meeting, but we did get a lot done. Yes. So thank you so much, commissioners.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, everybody. Can I get a motion to adjourn our meeting? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, so meeting adjourned at 3:23 PM. Thank you. Dr. Jack, thank you.